my name's Felicity. I'm a client strategist here at RocketMill, and as Sam said, I'm here to talk to you today. Well, we'll get you to ask yourselves as marketeers whether you think your customer truly has a conscience. Now, quite selfishly, the reason why I want to discuss this with you all today is because this is something I personally struggle with on a weekly, probably daily basis. I like to think of myself, as I'm sure a lot of you guys do, as an ethical customer. Somebody who purposefully seeks out economically, environmentally sustainable products. But more and more, I feel my ethics are being compromised for the lure of cheap prices and convenience. And I'm fully aware of this, yet I'm consciously allowing it to happen. And it seems I might actually be one of the only ones, as stats show that a huge proportion of us are willing to switch brands to one that is championing a cause. And we're willing to spend a lot more money on a product with a conscience. And these stats are probably the reason why there's been a huge influx in purpose marketing campaigns, a trend that is fundamentally being driven by new generations expecting brands that they purchase from to look at the bigger picture. But what is purpose marketing? Well, it's really a brand's way of connecting with their customers on a personal level, with the proviso of making the world a better place through shared values. So what it is, sort of put simply, is the championing of progress, be this environmentally, socially, economically, to sell products or services. And there are definitely gains to this approach. When the heart of your brand becomes a cause that your customers can get on board with and champion themselves, you're going to turn that audience into brand ambassadors. And you don't have to just take my word for it. Purpose marketing has been widely talked about in the trade press for a while now, and there's tons of editorial on the value of this approach. And big brands agree. We've definitely seen a surge towards brands position themselves as true champions in social and environmental change through their ads. We've seen this from the likes of Like a Girl campaign from Always, the Pepsi campaign with Kendall Jenner, Gillette's A Best the Man Can Be ad, and Patagonia's Don't Buy This Jacket ad. Now, you'll have your own judgments on whether you think these campaigns speak to you on a personal level and whether you've had shared values. But people that work in the industry and as consumers, do you genuinely believe that these progressive messages that these advertising campaigns are pushing are based on genuine brand values? Or are brands just pretending to have a set of values that align with a set of values that customers are also pretending to have? Is purpose marketing just a way for a brand to comfort their customers into pretending they have a moral compass? So, do customers really have a conscience? Do they really give a shit? Well, to help you continue to challenge this, I've got a few examples which are ones I can relate to for sure. So first off, who's heard of Airbnb? Who uses Airbnb? Yep, yeah, I love them. Every time I go away, I use them, and that's business, pleasure. I find them amazing. Convenience, price, being in the thick of it, I couldn't fault them. They also give me amazing holiday snaps, which I like to upload to my Instagram, as you guys have probably seen, and generally use them to boast about the amazing time I've had to my friends and family. And I'm sure that sentiment is echoed by their 150 million users worldwide. What I might not boast to my colleagues and friends about, however, is the destruction and misery that Airbnb have on communities around the world. Airbnb is causing entire neighbourhoods in some of our best loved cities to be completely uprooted. The impact of hosts is causing rents to skyrocket, and our greed for convenience and low prices is forcing residents out of their own houses, the neighbourhoods they grew up in, where they raised their kids. And I know this. I'm fully aware. I'm not pleading ignorance. But I choose to consciously ignore this by continuing to use them every time I go away. And I know I'm not alone on this one, because the projected number of Airbnb users is set to hit 24 million by 2020, and that's in Europe alone. Okay, next up. There's no denying the questionable ethics of this company. From transgression to corruption to CEO gender inequality and sexual harassment, the death of a trade, the murder of a man, ties to Donald Trump. We're all fully aware that this company knows no bounds in its less than perfect track record or disregard for its customers and employees. But I still use them. I love this service They're the fastest and cheapest taxi service in London, so I use them all the time. And the fact that they provide this to me means that these scandals turn into forgivable misdemeanors that I'm happy to overlook. Moving on. Does anyone recognise this guy? How about if I say his name, David Dow? Nope. How about now? Yeah? So David Dow is the guy who gained a national reputation as a consumer champion after videos and pictures of him being dragged down the aisle of an American Airlines aircraft by security after refusing to give up his seat as they had overbooked it went viral. The backlash from this was huge. This guy gained legendary status as a consumer rights champion, and you got to give it to him. Market share for American Airlines the month that this happened dropped quite significantly. But skip to a year later, and they'd increased by 35% more than before this had happened. Finally, does anyone remember these incredibly distressing images? This is the aftermath of the Deepwater Horizon oil spill of 2010, known as the largest marine oil spill in history, which extended over thousands of square miles of the Gulf of Mexico. And whose fault was this? Does anyone remember? It was BP, British multinational oil and gas company British Petroleum, the very same company who hit record profits last year. You don't make that kind of money when you're losing customers. So what's this all telling us? Well, my continual use of the products, either directly or indirectly from these companies, is certainly telling me I don't really care, or at least I can't claim I have a conscience. Because if I really cared, I wouldn't board a BP-fueled corrupt airline to chill out in my beautifully remote yet totally accessible community-destroying home, which I would have gotten to by getting a corrupt crime lord to drive me there. Now, there's definitely going to be a load of you people out there who are virtuous and can confidently say, I don't use any of these companies, I'm fully aware, so I've stripped them out of my lives, I don't give them any money. And that's great. I genuinely salute you. I'd like to be more like you. However, sadly, I'm not. But I do feel like quite a few people I work with here at RocketMill, and I feel like us as an agency are very ethical and a very considerate bunch. We've rolled out a green initiative, and we're really good at raising money for ethical and sustainable causes. And this probably goes a long way into why we came 12th in the Sunday Times list for 100 best small companies. A shameless plug, I know, but a proud moment, and I think it's something that we can all agree we should be shouting about. So how did we celebrate this achievement? Well, in true RocketMill style, we had a big cake. We all tucked into a nice big cake. A nice big cake that was made with chocolate from one of the world's largest commercial farmers of unsustainable palm oil, Nestle. And I bet each and every one of us thought it tasted great. Now, I'm not here to make you all feel ashamed. It's far from it. My point is that we all struggle with this. It's very difficult to remain true to your ethics in this world, but we are becoming an ever-growing population of cafeteria-conscious consumers who pick and choose when we want to stand by our ethics and morals. We all, in a way, want to have our cake and eat it too. So to go back to my initial question, do you really think your customer has a conscience? Well, if you're going to ask me, surprisingly, yes, I think your customers do, I think we do. As whilst they might continue to use these services, with the social phenomenon that is call-out culture, paired with the increased awareness and accountability each one of us as individuals have on our environmental and ecological footprint, it's us as consumers, with our rowdy conscience, denouncing all these companies, which is forcing them to react. Thank you.